We got two numbers for you this week. What's your number?
$175 million. What's yours?
$10 million.
Mine's bigger.
What are you doing?
Stacking sats.
Hi y'all, welcome to Windshield Time. It is Day and Arry.
What up, what up?
It is, what's today's date? It is September 16th around 11 p.m.
I wrote December 16th. What happened to me?
September 16th around 11 p.m. Kids in bed again, so parents we can do our thing. It's Wednesday night. This is show number 106.
Woo-hoo.
COVID-19 pandemic show number 26.
Woo.
Kind of coincidental that the numbers lined up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so give you a small teaser to what the main topic is going to be. Some really big news hitting the wires this week again. What is Windshield Time?
Hey, so for those of you that are new and joining us, Windshield Time is a podcast about money and Bitcoin. We try and make things and give you highlights of
News.
and
then make it digestible, make it, a little bit fun.
informational.
Informational,
My brain's not working at 11 p.m. I'm usually sleeping.
You said you were ready a second ago to record. All right, so that's Windshield Time. I am Luggage Donkey on Twitter. Come and find me over there. I'm also pretty active in LinkedIn, and I noticed a strong creep into LinkedIn from the Bitcoin and crypto crowd. And so we are basically pervading every online community and space and platform there is out there.
And competing for your attention. And I'm Arry in Seattle. Very original.
All right, we don't give financial advice. We're not journalists, and we like to focus on some of the basics of money. And one of the basics of Bitcoin being money is that you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
Nope, you can buy less than one Bitcoin. You can buy $1 of Bitcoin. You don't have to spend a whole $11,000 on it. And there is no CEO for Bitcoin. It's completely decentralized and secure and immutable. So that's one of the
probably
reasons.
getting a little bit more deeper than information overload. But yes, all that is important.
But that's why we do some Satoshi math. So just like there are 100 pennies.
Are we doing Satoshi math now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Time for some Satoshi math.
So just like there are 100 pennies in every $1 US, there are 100 million Satoshis in every one Bitcoin.
So how do you calculate how many sats are in every dollar?
Sats is short for Satoshis. You take one representing $1 US and you divide it by 0.000.
Oh, we didn't do the price of Bitcoin.
10900.
So the price of Bitcoin right now, a little while ago, checked was approximately $10,900. And that's how you do that number again, sorry.
1 divided by 0.0010900 to get, drum roll,
Oh, I forgot
9,200 Satoshis for
approximately
every $1.
9,200 sats per dirty US fat dollar. You get less than 10,000 sats per dollar when Bitcoin is above $10,000 per Bitcoin. It's sort of like this weird inverse relationship.
It's a pie.
Yeah. It's a pie?
Mm-hmm. Think of it as a pie.
Okay. All right. Happy to help anybody ever understand how to do Satoshi math, but it's a nice little fun reminder of what the price of Bitcoin is, and also that the buying power of $1 is going down as the price of Bitcoin goes up. This week, we're also above $10,000 per Bitcoin. Any week where we are doing the show and Bitcoin is above $10,000 per Bitcoin is a good week. Is a good week. That was a fill in the blank question. All right.
That was a trick question. I was like, really?
No. All right.
I think one of the things that might be giving the Bitcoin above $10,000 a Bitcoin price. And side note, remember, you can buy less than one Bitcoin. You can buy
much less than one Bitcoin.
$1 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. And there are easy ways to buy it. I think you have your 3 favorite ways to buy it if you're interested in trying it out and buying $10 or $100 of Bitcoin.
Yep, I have my 3 recommendations. Feel free to reach out whenever. We did talk about Swan Bitcoin. That is one of my recommendations. And so we did join the Swan, I don't know what they're called, the Swan Gang, Swan Army, Swan Squad. I think it's the Swan Squad. I'm so sorry, Corey. I should know better. But yeah, they're one of my recommendations. If you reach out, I can kind of custom fit whatever your specific need is for how you want to handle it, and give you recommendations.
Tips and tricks,
Yes.
but not investment advice.
Not investment advice, of course.
I've been recommending to the ladies I've been talking to use Cash App. I really love the product. It's really easy. I think it's better than PayPal and Venmo. And you can buy Bitcoin through Cash App. And again, you can buy like $1, $5, $10, whatever. And so if you ping me, I can give you my referral code, and we both get $5 for trying it out. So let me know.
Helping each other out.
Woo woo.
Okay.
All right.
So
but one of the reasons why I think Bitcoin's price is above 10K is because MicroStrategy is again in the news, right? Hence my number.
That was our little teaser in the beginning. But MicroStrategy. Well, why don't you go ahead and talk about it? So this is our main topic of the show here, and so trying to make it kind of fast. But yeah, I mean, it's 2 big news items that hit. One's about generally investing with our favorite Uncle Pomp. And the other is about MicroStrategies.
Back to MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy is a publicly traded firm, which means they have a stock ticker on one of those big stock trading platforms, like those big ones, right? So MicroStrategy, big public company, a few weeks ago, bought like
It's a month ago.
Okay, they bought $250 million worth of Bitcoin, which was like big news. And then again today, we heard that they bought $175 million worth of Bitcoin. So that means they have put in a total of $425 million of Bitcoin within a month's time. And so really big news, because it's corporate companies, giant companies that have all this money sitting around in cash. Now they're like, maybe cash isn't so great because, money printing go brrr, right? Yeah,
money printer go beep boop beep.
The Fed has printed like $3 trillion this year alone,
I think
right?
it's more than that, actually.
Oh, even more.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. So inflation's a big concern for everybody now. I don't know if you're thinking about it, but something to think about. And so now these large companies are saying, like, we can't just have this cash sitting around. We need to put it work and keep it safe. And so MicroStrategy is leading the way. And instead of keeping all of their millions of dollars in cash, they're now putting $425 million into Bitcoin. And they're
already put $425 million into Bitcoin directly.
And they're buying it at this price, right? Like Bitcoin is in the $10,000, $11,000 range, which is also, some people are like, wow, isn't that too high? No. This company just put $425 million of their assets into Bitcoin. And then I was listening. Oh, do you want to add any more comments on that?
Well, yeah, I always have commentary around this, but it's sort of well known among true institutional people who are true professional investors. I affectionately call it big money, but the closer we get to, kind of an arbitrary number, $50,000 per Bitcoin, that's when Bitcoin's market cap gets to $1 trillion.
$1 trillion.
Yes, 5x from $10,000 per Bitcoin. And so at $1 trillion, it actually becomes a viable, investable, viable, tradable asset by professionals and by institutions.
Because it becomes $50,000?
Because the market
cap is high enough?
Market cap gets to $1 trillion. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so there's actually more buyers, not financial advice again, but in the way that big money works, the business of big money works, there's actually more buyers when it hits $50,000 per Bitcoin. And so you and I can still buy $10 and $20 and $100 worth of Bitcoin, but it's going to be institutions, just like they buy Amazon stock that's at $3,000 a share. They are not afraid of that, and they're not going to be afraid of $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 Bitcoin.
That's crazy.
Yep.
But these numbers are really big. So then I was listening to the CEO's interview on Uncle Pom's podcast, Anthony Pompliano, and the CEO's name, I thought his name was Michael Slayer. And I was like, wow, that's so badass, Michael Slayer. Turns out his last name is really Saylor, Saylor, not Slayer, which would have been much cooler. So I was listening to Michael Saylor, and I'm like 30 minutes into the podcast interview.
He's an interesting guy. I started listening to the show today while I was washing dishes too.
He's quirky, MIT guy. He was an ex-Air Force guy like our friend Anthony Entman.
A Radiki guy. Shout out to the Travis and Ikigai team over there. Yes.
And Anthony didn't become a pilot because he was way too tall.
Yeah.
And Michael Saylor did not become a pilot after all because he had to do some pivot.
Was there some sort of medical condition?
Medical condition. And so then he accidentally started this company called MicroStrategy, and boom, it did really well.
Go listen to the podcast by Pomp. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You learn some interesting facts, like he's a domain name squatter, meaning he buys names on the internet. He spent millions and millions of dollars buying like Michael.com, Mike.com, Voice.com, Angel.com. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, check out the podcast. And then on the note of Pomp, your note.
Yes, so he has launched his own rolling fund. It's a new structure for how to do venture investing. And within a few days of announcing it, so there's some requirements for accredited investor status and requirements for subscription. So how often you put money in. The document is out there on the web. I'll probably put a link to it in the show notes. But in the first few days, he's gotten the equivalent of about $10 million worth of subscriptions, investment money to go into this fund, which he will basically solely direct as far as I can tell. And so
nice job, Pomp.
People come in, put in minimum $10,000 per quarter for a minimum of 1 year. And he will invest that on your behalf. And so it's a new structure, like I said, very exciting. I mean, huge success by all accounts. So yeah,
he's really awesome. We love him, Pomp. I don't know, $40,000 a year. It's a lot of money.
it is a lot of money.
A lot of money. But
yeah.
He's really good. I mean, he's got a lot of good access to good companies and
deal flow, as it's called in the business.
Yeah. He's got good access to good founders and companies reaching out to him. He sees a lot of companies because he's also part of the Morgan Creek team, working with Mark Yusko there. Also another podcast interview that we did. Anyway, that got me thinking, like, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of bright people, like A players, have been going up and setting up their own funds, like left and right solo funds, small 2-3 people funds. And so there's definitely a thing going on here. And then, I'm just starting to figure out the public markets, and I'm just starting to learn how about stocks and how to read them. And it's really, really scary. And I'm also learning that I shouldn't look at the stock price every day because I'm giving myself heartburn sometimes. The only thing that I did well really was BYND. I talked about that before. Anyway,
what is that?
BYND is Beyond Meat.
Beyond Meat. Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into details.
Okay. I did awesome. And from there I was like,
we actually talked about that with Mark Yusko.
Yeah.
In that interview we did with him, we talked about it, and he gave a lot of great advice about it too.
He did. Yeah. But he was in at cents and sold at much better returns. Anyway, so then when you look at funds and you see where all these big A players who are on the cutting edge of stuff going and setting up their funds, it gives you a signal of what's going on in the world, right? So the feds are printing a lot of money. There's a lot of liquidity coming into the market. The stock markets are all high right now. Everyone's talking about the stock market. No one seems to be able to lose there. And then you see all these people setting up funds. And people are trying to park their cash. You see the MicroStrategy thing, $450 million now.
$425 million.
$425 million recently parked into Bitcoin. And so, there's a summary. There's a thesis. There was a point I was getting to here.
Summary is bet on the future and put a little money into Bitcoin. Our opinion, not financial advice.
Yeah, well, yeah, I had a point there and I lost it. I'm sorry, I forgot it.
Maybe it'll come to you as I discuss swag, make Bitcoin great again. I thought that it was a very appropriate hat to wear considering the extra $175 million by MicroStrategies, ticker symbol MSTR. Michael Saylor holds a quadruple killer status situation. He is founder, CEO, chairman, and president
Of his company.
all the titles you could possibly have.
And he's publicly.
And now he's
that
publicly
online.
coming out. First appearance was on Pomp's podcast, talking in detail about it. And so that's pretty much, I think, all we have this week. So shout out to Maddie Satz at Matthew Ryan Case for, again, reading our disclaimers, which plays at the end of every show. Thank you very much.
And thanks to our sponsor, the WTIA.
Oh, the WTIA. Thank you to the WTIA.
The Washington Technology Industry Association, representing over 1,100 technology companies in the Pacific Northwest, creating one collective voice when it comes to talking to innovators, policymakers, and investors. And then back to my point about
Did you remember?
funds, yeah. People are moving, the brain drain is going to move into markets where they have more advantages over the rest of the world, right? Like you want to go where like you through the sheer power of will, hard work, access, your brain power, can find success more easily than anybody else. And so everybody else has access to a lot of information, right? Like thanks to the world of Google and YouTube, like information is readily available to everybody. And when you're working with the public markets, generally, like I think with stocks, you can research a lot. Like there's all these S1s and all these markets and everyone's writing about it and everyone has access to everything, unless you're an insider and you know a lot more. But like when it comes to like...
So you're saying it's better to be an insider? Is that the summary?
But you can be an insider when it comes to private markets, private equity, venture capital. You get to meet the founder, you get to talk to them, you get to see their numbers and look under the hood, and you have a lot more access to information that the general public doesn't have. And so why are all these funds getting set up? Because all the smart people can make a lot of money if they pick right and they work really hard at creating their companies with the right, moves and strategies. And as investors, if you know all the right founders who are really good at like just executing and pushing through and building great companies, it's a pretty great formula.
Well, venture returns is still 90% losing investments, though.
To date.
90% go to zero.
To date. But I think that's going to change over the next 10 years. It's going to change drastically.
Maybe.
Yeah. All the brains moving here. Most of the entrepreneurs that are making it, first-time founders, a lot of old Amazonians, for instance, setting up and creating companies, getting funded. You have incubators, accelerators. You have just all the resources that are out there. Your chances of winning as an entrepreneur today significantly higher. And then if you're one of those A+ like crazy brains and you have all the strategy and all the drive, even better chances of success. My 2 cents. Anyway.
Alrighty. Is that it?
Yep.
Alright, awesome. Show them the book that you're reading. Because you've been watching so many Korean dramas, you've decided to hunker down and read 35 books before you go into the next Korean drama.
Up.
Number go up, baby. Number always goes up. I got my other swag shirt on right now, Coinbase, and so I think that's it. Thank you all for watching, listening. I appreciate you participating in our journey.
There's so much to learn.
There's a lot out there, yes.
So much to learn. Read books, not so much Korean dramas. Thank you for being with us again this week. Don't forget to review, rate, subscribe, and share.
Rate, review, subscribe, and share. I'm having to do script supervisor duty on you again. So, you want to try that again?
Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share.
Come on, hurry up.
Together we rise.
Thank you. Be nice, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Welcome to Windshield time, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This podcast is non-technical, fun, informative way to learn about money, Bitcoin, blockchains, crypto, and digital assets for busy parents and working folks who are curious about these new technologies. Day, Arry, and their guests talk about these evolutionary systems of money and what they do, y'all. Because what part of your life does money not touch? This podcast is not financial advice, and your reactions are your total and complete responsibility, y'all. Now, thanks again and enjoy the show.
Okay, we are hot on the mics. You didn't do Together We Rise. Are you dropping that?
I forgot it.
You forgot it? Say it. Come on, hurry up.